Frank, do you get the sense that you're one of 8, 10, 12 championship clubs approaching a seminal 5 days or so in your season?
Yes. On our own point, we are fighting for the playoffs. And as you say, there are teams around us doing exactly the same. Whether they're slightly above us or below us, it's tight in there. So these games have huge importance. All 5 games that we've got coming up are important for us now. But the Easter period with 2 games in quick succession, points on the table for us. We have to be absolutely focused on what we want to do and only concern ourselves with ourselves, what we can do. We're ready for 2 big games.
You, of course, are used to, as a player, coming into this stage of the season with so much on the line. Is there anything in terms of handling pressure, big games, that you can pass on to your players?
Well, I mentioned the word focus. I think it's important. There has to be a balance because, we all go home to our families. You can't stress yourself out every second of the day, but when we come to work, we focus. There has to be a real desire to get to where we want to be. I think if we were to make the playoffs and if we were to be successful after that in terms of promotion, it's a life changer for all of us and for all of the people that support Derby County so well. So we have to understand that and fight with everything we've got to try and make that happen.
Now would be the perfect time for that first away win of 2019 then?
It would be. We've had, funnily, this season we've had some of our best performance away from home. And they came in the first half of the season, obviously, in the cup runs, in the league, places like Norwich where we managed to get a win. So we have to go back to that. We've struggled a bit with away form recently. Fortunately, our home form's been great and it's kind of balanced it out slightly, but we're at a point now where we know we have 3 difficult away games coming and we're going to have to get results. So it's time to change it.
In terms of changing it then, as a manager, what is the balancing act between trusting the principles which have brought you a fair bit of success over the course of the season and then searching for a solution?
Both. We don't change the principles. I certainly won't. We're always looking for improvement within that, and that's what we need to do. We know we have the capabilities. There is no absolute answer. There's no magic wand that gets you an away result. It takes a mixture of things, but we certainly have to be in it for the fight because I think against Blackburn it's 1 game of the season and there haven't been many where we know we didn't match them. If you're going to go to Birmingham and get a result, the first thing you need to do is match them physically, with the aggression, with the desire to get the 3 points. So that's something we need to take, and then hopefully our quality can help us get results.
I understand it's probably a weekly occurrence that you get asked about Mason Mount, but given that he scored a hat-trick at the weekend, did it show to you just how much you'd missed him in those 2 months that he wasn't with you? Yeah, of course. We are a squad and we have to accept that and try and fill gaps when injuries come. But with Mason, his talent is special. He's brought a lot to the team. He did it, when he's been in the team in terms of what he can do on the ball. Huge talent. We saw that with the hat-trick, but what he does off the ball, which is sometimes unrecognised, which is starts the pressing that we work on a lot here to try and be difficult to play against. And we missed those attributes, and now we've got them back. So it's important that hopefully he can keep his form, but more than that, as a team, we can keep our form in the running. From a personal perspective, from watching particularly Mason and Harry every day, what do you see as the next step forward for them when you look to next season as to whether they would be best suited going on another loan, going back to their clubs?
Question for the summer, and on a selfish note, I want them with me. They're both very good players, and you can throw Tamori in there, who's been absolutely outstanding this season for us, and I've loved working with them all. So if I could have my own way, I'd keep them. It's something that they'll want to sit down with their own selves, their families, their agents, etc., and think what's best for them. And they've got different options. The last thing that any of them will want to do now is to go and not play football. So I think that'll be the main thing in their mind. And I think they have to do that. They have to keep playing football regularly and improving themselves, which they've managed to do this year.
So I know you said it is a question for the summer, but has there been any sort of preliminary conversation with them about?
No, and it shouldn't be now. We've got a few weeks now which are too critical in footballing terms. It will all flush itself out in the summer. It can be on the back burner, but I'll be ready to have those conversations with all of them. I get on very well with them, and it'll be very honest from hopefully both ends.
You touched on Birmingham and the challenge that lies ahead. What would you say about the job that Gary Monk has done this season, given the backdrop he's been operating with?
Yeah, a very good job. I think outstanding. Obviously tough when they get a points deduction. They would be very comfortable, and in fact, pushing for those playoff spots without that. So that's tough as a manager. He didn't he didn't want that, or it wasn't part of his. Well, I'm sure this year he's had to think about it, but in terms of what he's had to work with, he's not at fault for it, but he's had to take the can for it. But they've got good players. They've got good players and a good team, and a very good manager in him. So they're a very tough opposition for us on Friday.
Just a final couple then, with a reference maybe to what Gary's been working with off the field. There's been some stories about Steve Gibson wanting some investigations into FFP and certain clubs in particular, with Derby potentially being one of them. From your perspective, are you happy with the way that the club are operating in terms of those profit and sustainability rules?
Well, if you're going to ask me if I can go through their accounts and understand them, I couldn't, and it's kind of not my job. Obviously, it's massively important for the club, but as far as I know, we put in our financial year, we were compliant as of last week, and the stories that I know about this week are absolutely nothing in it for me. It hasn't affected my day-to-day work. It's something for the club to look at, as everybody has to look at in the Championship. And I actually have no news for you on it, and I don't want to think about it, because until the summer we can't do any business anyway, and the business now is 5 games to try and make the playoffs. So it's ongoing, yes, of course, seemingly for a lot of clubs in the Championship, but it's not affecting me right now.
In terms of the summer, obviously as a manager you plan your recruitment before getting to the end of the season, so is there anything in place at the moment that's stopping you do that? Well,
that's difficult. I'm not going to lie, that's difficult, because firstly, we're not sure where we're going to be. Of course, we'd love to be in the Premier League, but we know we can't call that one, so you have to have different plans for that. And of course, financially, as I knew when I took the job last summer, we're in a position now where it's not going to be of previous years of bringing in lots of players on bigger contracts. We have to work in a slightly different way with youth, with how we work in the transfer market. So that's a tough one. And again, it's not something I'm massively thinking about now. Of course, we have to plan. But for me, these 5 games are too important. So that one will become more apparent at the end of the season.
Thanks, Frank.
Thanks.
Cheers, Frank, goals as the season goes up and down, and at times goals have been tough to come by. Over the last couple of games, they've been plentiful. Does it feel like you're hitting that purple patch at the right time, with so many crucial games coming up, and obviously Birmingham being a stubborn side, they're trying not to concede too many?
It doesn't feel like that, because we've had 2 very, very good home performances and scored. We scored at Brentford as well, although we conceded. But the Blackburn game was a wake-up call for us, that if we drop our standards in this Championship, you're not going to get results. So it's far from a purple patch. We've had some really good performances and we've scored a lot of goals. That makes us feel better, for sure. But every game you have to bring the same. We have to sort of reset slightly and make sure we bring what I call the nasty side of our game, because in the Championship now and where we're at and everyone's fighting for points, you must be up for the fight. The goals and the good stuff can come after that. So yeah, I'll be interested to see how we approach Friday, because it's a big game for the club and the players have to understand that and bring everything.
How key do you think Mason Mount has been to the fact that you've scored a few in the last couple?
Yeah, Mason's been absolutely key. Of course, he scored 4 games in the last 2 home games, a hat-trick in the last one. I think he's a player that not only contributes himself but rubs off on others around him. The link-up play between himself and our other attacking players, I think, has been really good and improved in the last few games from where we were in our difficult patch. And yeah, of course, Mason's in the middle of that.
You see any of yourself in him?
Not really. I don't like the comparison. Of course, I love working with him. I was a midfield player who liked to try and assist and score goals, and that's exactly what he's trying to do. So if I can help him in that way, I do. But everybody's different. But I have experience, and I'll try and give it to him. The beauty of working with Mason is that he wants to suck in every bit of information he can. He wants to improve every day. So that's why he's got an incredible chance to be a really top player.
Not to be too dramatic, but this weekend could be do or die for a number of teams when it comes for their aspirations for the season. Planning ahead to that as a manager in comparison to what it was like as a player, how does the pressure ride with you?
Well, the pressure's always there, I have to say. And of course, yeah, we know now that the stakes are higher, because we know that we need to win a lot of our remaining games to get into the playoffs. But that's what we should be in football for. So I enjoyed it as a player. I enjoy competing at the top end. You can't always win, you can't always have it your own way, but you must strive for that. So I like it. I like this. What I came say back into football for, but it's what I started management for, because I love this feeling. So let's take it as a positive challenge rather than get too nervous about it.
They call it squeaky bomb time. I just wonder how squeaky it all is at the moment.
It doesn't feel squeaky at all because, as I said, it's a good challenge. I didn't think at the start of the season, when we sat behind the scenes, we weren't sitting there saying we must get promotion. We knew that it was a difficult time for the club. I didn't see us in any of the betting for who's going to win the championship and get promoted this year. I didn't. But now we're actually in the running for it ourselves. So it shouldn't be squeaky bum. It should be, what can we make of this? And if we don't, we'll give everything. And then at the end of the summer, we go, okay, well, where do we improve from now?